you think of Chris Rock's Netflix special? Did you think?
A recent Adam Sandler interview has had him praising Chris Rock for his selective outrage comedy performance, where he had nothing but good things to say about the piece, subtly hinting that the words were well-deserved and well-written. Last week, Adam Sandler accepted the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor in Washington, D.C., and there to support him were his longtime collaborators and friends, Jennifer Aniston, Drew Barrymore, Chris Rock, and many more. After the event and during the festivities, Sandler spoke to people about Rock's Netflix special, Selective Outrage.
Thought he was unbelievably relaxed, funny, thoughtful, crushed it, was real to himself.
He went ahead and praised his longtime friend and frequent collaborator Chris Rock, showering him with praises and saying he did the right thing. In the interview with People, Sandler was asked if Rock did something that he should not have done by joking about Jada Pinkett Smith at the Oscars last year, and Sandler said that he never thought of it and went on to compliment Rock, calling him relaxed, funny, and thoughtful. Sandler claimed his friend had been unbelievably relaxed, funny, thoughtful, and that he eventually crushed the show by staying true and real to himself. Sandler added, "And it was as exciting to watch as when the Super Bowl is on. I thought about it all weekend." He said the moment he knew Chris was doing the show that night, he immediately started watching it from his kitchen, and it was so good that he rewatched it again. To him, it was one of those amazing experiences that come once in a while, and he had a great time watching it and laughing. Regardless of what Chris said, Sandler claimed it was all right and that Chris stayed true to himself. He never mentioned any other name apart from Chris, but it's quite obvious that he was pleased that his friends responded to the Smiths. It must have been really infuriating to watch his friend Chris being humiliated on a public stage and having him trending on social media, and not because he is an amazing comedian, but because he had been violently assaulted at the Oscars. Will Smith slapped Rock on stage at the 94th Academy Awards when the latter went on stage to present the award for Best Documentary, and joked about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head. Now, Sandler did not mention anything about the Oscars incident, but he was really supportive of the response in Chris' live comedy special, Chris Rock, Selective Outrage, which premiered earlier this month on Netflix. Chris addressed the slap incident in his routine, saying that Will Smith practices selective outrage and that he had nothing to do with everything that happened and that the blame should go to the entangler Jada Smith. Chris said, "We all been cheated on. Everybody in this industry has been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated us on television. None of us. Why the FK would you do that, Esset? She hurt him way more than he hurt me? Okay." He was referring to Jada speaking of her entanglement with August Alsina years ago while she and Will were taking a break. She said at the time that she and Will were able to save their relationship, adding that they had gotten to that new place of unconditional love. Regardless of what she said, it was quite humiliating and disappointing to see her publicly admitting to having had an affair with a younger man, her son's friend, and to have told it directly to her husband's face in public and still upload the video. According to Rock, Will Smith was referred to as a BTCH by everyone after the entanglement news, and he attempted to call Smith, but he was not answering. Chris even addressed the moment when Jada called for a boycott of the Academy Awards in 2016, where he claimed she had requested that Rock not host the show since Will was not nominated for his film Concussion that year. A close associate of Jada refuted this claim, saying that she never asked Chris to not host the Oscars ever, and instead she had publicly said in a Facebook post at the time Chris would be a great Oscars host and is perfect for the job. In his special, Rock claimed that Jada deserved to be made fun of, saying that she was the one to start things and that he was simply reacting. Rock stated, "I made some jokes about her. Who gives a FCK? That's how it is. She starts it, I finish it. That's what the FCK happened. Nobody's picking on this BTCH. She started this Esset. Nobody was picking on her." This statement must have also irked Jada because her representative claimed she is not involved in her husband and Chris's feud, and that they were shocked at how many times Chris used the word bitch in referring to Jada. To Chris Rock, though, he doesn't seem to care much anymore about what they think of him because he has revealed one of the jokes that didn't make the final cut into his recent Netflix special, and it was brutal. It's like he was sending a message that he had more nasty, funny stuff to say, and he would have said them during his show, but didn't because Netflix cut those parts off. It was actually an honor for Chris, who in early March performed on Netflix's first ever live set, Selective Outrage, which contained a number of notable moments, including him making fun of Meghan and Harry, the Kardashians, and him addressing Will Smith slapping him at the 2022 Oscars.
Before I start, Paul Pelosi, the only guy that knows how I felt, all right? Just me and you, Paul.
It seems Netflix decided there were some jokes he shouldn't say and cut them from his show only for him to perform them elsewhere. In particular, one savage remark, seemingly comparing his onstage assault to the brutal attack of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband in October 2022. He actually revealed the joke while on stage at the 24th Mark Twain Prize for American Humor celebrating this year's honoree, his close friend Adam Sandler. Rock told the audience he would be sharing a few quips that were left out of his Netflix special. Paul Pelosi is the only guy who knows how I felt, the 58-year-old said for USA Today. Just me and you, Paul. From what he said, it was clear why Netflix cut the joke from his performance because it was quite insensitive to the ailing old man. Rock's comments were in reference to the horrific incident in which Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer in his home. Pelosi suffered a skull fracture for which he underwent surgery, and his wife Nancy said that he is recovering and doing okay, but it will take a little while for him to be back to normal. Not only did he talk about Pelosi and him knowing each other, but he also talked about his friend Sandler and how they met. He was actually there to give a tribute to Sandler, but he also managed to diss the Oscars for sleeping on Sandler. While making his tribute speech in honor of his friend Adam Sandler being awarded this year's Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, the comedian called out the Oscars for snubbing the Uncut Gems star. "I've known this guy for 30 years, Chris Rock said of Sandler during his speech from the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. The Oscars, you know, they're F King A-holes, he continued. And if they don't want to give my man his props, we will tonight. Obviously, just like how much Sandler adores Chris. The latter feels the same, and he was quick to acknowledge Sandler's talents, thus we can say that he was referencing Sandler's lack of a nomination for his role as New York City jeweler Howard Ratner in the 2019 film Uncut Gems. Sandler's role was highly praised, with some even calling it the finest performance in his entire career, with the movie grossing more than $500 million domestically on a $19 million budget, according to box office stats. Not only did the movie get popular with glowing reviews, it even scored an award from the USA National Board of Review as a top 10 film. Regardless of how marvelous it was, the film was not nominated for any Oscars, and in response to the snub, Sandler tweeted out a message at the time, writing, "Bad news, Sandman gets no love from the Academy. Good news, Sandman can stop wearing suits." Chris Rock was among several other comics, actors, and filmmakers to speak in Sandler's honor, including Jennifer Aniston, Drew Barrymore, Steve Buscemi, Louis Guzman, Conan O'Brien, and David Spade. After his event, Sandler went on to support Chris just like Chris had done for him previously, showering him with praise and being joined by others who also thought Chris's performance was fire. Also on hand to offer praise for Rock were pals Rob Schneider and Dana Carvey. "He's outrageous. He's incredible. He really does set the bar," said Schneider. "That was just pure unadulterated Chris Rock brilliance, the entire thing," said Carvey. A fan on Twitter said, "Chris Rock joining up with Adam Sandler, Kevin James, and David Spade to take on Will Smith." Another said, "Only one that didn't laugh their ass off at Rock's Smith jokes was Smith, his fam, and forever conflicted progressives who have no sense of humor." Adam Sandler defends Chris Rock, pushes back on reporters asking if Rock went too far with Will Smith jokes. Anyways, let's not forget that this video is based on theories and my opinions and should not be considered facts. That's it for this video. Bye.